I used to think I had good instincts, not in the heroic way, more in the quiet way, like knowing when to cross the street, when a stranger's smile is too practiced, when a situation is asking you to ignore the small alarms in your body. But instincts don't always show up as fear. Sometimes they show up as a refusal to do something simple, like opening a door, or worse, like staying silent when someone is trying to make you speak. The night it happened, I didn't do anything brave. I didn't fight anyone. I didn't chase anyone down a hallway. I just listened. And I wish I hadn't. Intro. My apartment is the kind people forget 5 minutes after they leave. Beige walls, cheap carpet, a kitchen light that buzzes if you leave it on too long. The building is newer than it looks. One of those modern complexes that feel like they were designed by someone who's never slept through a neighbor's footsteps. I live on the 5th floor, Unit 5E. The only reason I remember the unit number so clearly is because I've had to say it out loud to police more than once in my life, usually for boring things like someone stealing packages from the lobby. It was a Monday. I know, because the next morning my alarm was set for 6:30, and I had been thinking about it all evening the way you do when you're already tired before you go to sleep. I locked my door the way I always do. Deadbolt, then the chain. Then I tugged the handle twice, hard enough to make it rattle. I'd been doing that since I moved in. Because in the first week here, I heard a neighbor's door open in the middle of the night. Not a slam, not an accident, a careful, deliberate click. And then footsteps in the hallway like someone didn't want the floor to hear them. The next day, the woman across from me, Nadia, mentioned it casually in the elevator. "Don't leave your keys on the hook by the door," she said, like she was giving me a recipe tip. "Some people, they're good at listening." I laughed politely, because that's what you do when someone says something weird at 8 a.m. But I moved my keys anyway. That night, I fell asleep, faster than I expected. I woke up because of a sound that didn't belong to the building. Not the heat pipes, not the fridge, not someone upstairs dropping something and muttering. A knock, 3 taps, evenly spaced, not loud, not frantic, like someone wanted to be heard, but not by anyone else. I stared at my phone. 2:59 a.m. The time didn't scare me by itself. What scared me was the way my body reacted like it already knew what was coming. Because before the next minute flipped over, I felt my throat tighten. 3 a.m. 3 taps again. My apartment went very still, like the air had been told to stop moving. I got out of bed without turning on a light and walked into the hallway. My feet knew the floorboard that creaks near the bathroom, so I stepped around it without thinking. I paused in front of the door. The line of hallway light under it looked thin and harmless. Then the taps came again, closer, right on the other side. Tap, tap, tap. I didn't go to the peephole. I don't know why exactly. Maybe because I didn't want them to know I was there. Maybe because the thought of putting my eye up to that little glass circle felt like volunteering for something. I just stood, breathing slowly, trying to decide whether to speak. A voice came through the door, soft, clear, almost friendly. "Hi." My stomach sank. "Sorry," the voice continued, still calm. "I know it's late." The voice sounded like a man in his 30s. Steady, controlled, the kind of voice people trust, because it doesn't ask for attention. "I'm not going to ask you to open the door," he said. I froze. "I just need you to listen." My hand hovered over my phone. He went on, like he could sense the hesitation. "Don't say anything, don't move the chain, don't touch the lock. Just stand there and listen, okay? The way he said okay felt like a habit, like he was used to people obeying. I didn't answer. A tiny pause. Then he spoke again. Closer. I can hear you breathing. My lungs locked. I forced myself to breathe through my nose, silently, like that would undo it. The man didn't raise his voice. He didn't get angry. He sounded patient, like the patience was the point. 3 things, he said, and then I'll leave. I held my phone tighter, thumb hovering over the emergency call button. First, he said, you're going to feel like this is about the door. A quiet, amused exhale. It isn't. My skin prickled. Second, he said, you're going to want to call someone. He paused just long enough for my heart to speed up. You won't. Third, he said, in a minute you're going to hear something in your hallway. The taps on the door stopped. The silence that followed felt staged, like the pause in a magic trick. Then I heard it. Not footsteps. Not an elevator. A faint click from the other side of the door. Metal against metal. Like someone touching the lock gently with something hard. My chain rattled once, barely. I stepped back instinctively. The man laughed softly. Just listen, he repeated. I didn't know what to do. Every horror story in my head wanted me to get a weapon or scream or run. But it's hard to run when the threat is the door. Because the door is also the only thing between you and the hallway. And the hallway is where the problem is. A sound came from outside, down the corridor. A door opening. Not mine. Someone else's. It was slow, careful, like someone didn't want the hinge to squeal. The man outside my door spoke again, not to me this time, but slightly to the side. Not yet. I felt my blood turn cold. There was someone else. Another voice, female, distant, shaky, spoke from the hallway. Hello? She said, uncertain. Who's there? Nadia. I recognized her voice instantly. She always sounded like she was holding her breath. My heart slammed. The man at my door didn't respond to her. He responded to me. Don't be a hero, he said quietly. Just listen. Nadia's door opened wider. I could imagine her peeking out, half asleep, confused. Then she said the worst thing she could have said. Is someone at your door? My mouth went dry, because she had just confirmed it for him. Not that I was inside, he already knew, but that she was awake too, that there were witnesses. The man sighed like she had ruined a clean plan. Why do they always talk? He murmured, almost to himself. Then louder, toward the hallway. Ma'am, go back inside. Nadia hesitated. Who are you? The man's tone warmed instantly, like a switch flipped. Building security, he said. We got a report. Please go inside for your safety. I almost laughed. It was so smooth, so practiced. And if I could almost believe it, Nadia definitely could. Because people love being told there's an official reason for their fear. Nadia's voice softened. Security? At this hour? It's an emergency, he replied. Please. A pause. Then Nadia said, Okay. I heard her door begin to close. I didn't even think. Nadia, I said, just once, instinctively, my voice cracking through the silence like a dropped plate. The hallway went dead still. The man outside my door didn't move. He didn't knock, he didn't speak, he just absorbed it. Then softly, like he was smiling, There you are. My stomach fell. I had done exactly what he wanted. I had spoken, and now he didn't need to guess anymore. He knew my voice. He knew my tone. He knew what I sounded like when I was scared. He knew how to pull me out of silence. The lock clicked again. Delicate, testing. I backed away, heart hammering. My phone vibrated once in my hand. I looked down. No notification. Just a vibration like a tap on my skin. And then my signal bars disappeared. One by one, like someone turned them off. Wi-Fi icon. Gone. Cell signal. Gone. I stared at it, stunned. The man outside whispered, "Told you." The middle. I didn't open the door. I didn't touch the lock. I didn't even go back to the peephole. I moved to the kitchen and grabbed the heaviest thing within reach, a wooden cutting board. Not a weapon, really. A desperate prop. I stood there, listening. The hallway was too quiet. Then my doorbell rang. Not a normal ring. A single, short chime, like someone tapped it quickly and released. The man spoke again, calm as ever. "Don't call the police," he said, as if he could see my thoughts. "You'll waste your time, and you'll scare your neighbor." "How are you doing this?" I whispered, mostly to myself. He answered anyway. "You're doing it," he said. "Not me." I froze. "People think the door is the boundary," he continued. "They think the lock is safety. They think silence is protection." A pause. "But silence is a language too." Something scraped outside, soft, like plastic against metal. Then, very gently, the peephole darkened, like someone covered it from the other side. I stepped back so fast I hit the counter. The man's voice grew softer, almost intimate. "You know what I love?" he murmured. "Apartments like this. Thin doors. Shared walls. Everyone can hear everything, but nobody wants to get involved." I clenched my jaw to stop my teeth from chattering. He continued. "You hear a knock? You wait. You hear a cry. You pretend it's the TV. You hear footsteps at 3 a.m. You call it old plumbing." The words weren't random. They were aimed. They were aimed at the exact weakness that makes people survive cities. Minding your own business. "You're not going to open," he said, like he was making an observation. "That's fine." My chest tightened. "Then go away." He laughed softly. "I will." A pause. "But first I need one more thing." I didn't answer. He spoke with sudden precision, like he was reading instructions. "When I knock again, I need you to knock back." My blood ran cold. "No, don't be dramatic," he said. "It's just a sound." "No," I repeated louder. "Go away." The silence that followed felt heavier. Then his voice sharpened for the first time. Still quiet, but no longer friendly. "If you don't knock back," he said, "I'll knock on Nadia's door." My stomach twisted. "You already scared her," I snapped. "I can do worse than scare," he said, and the calmness returned, like he was proud of it. "But I don't want to. I want to keep everything quiet." I backed away from the door until my shoulder blades hit the wall. I tried my phone again. No service. Airplane mode on, off, nothing. I opened the laptop on my kitchen table and tried connecting to Wi-Fi. No networks found. I stared at the screen, helpless anger rising. That was the moment I realized what this really was. Not a break-in, a trap, a controlled space. They didn't want to force their way inside. They wanted to make me participate. They wanted evidence I was awake. They wanted proof I was engaged. The man knocked again. Tap, tap, tap. Then, after a breath, tap, tap, tap. And the hallway lights flickered once, subtle. My heart raced. "Knock back," he said. I stared at the door. If I knocked back, what did that give him? Confirmation, rhythm, a response. Maybe that was enough. Maybe the building's locks had some weird audio sensor. No, that was ridiculous. But then again, so was losing all signal in a modern building. A soft sound came from the hallway, like a small object being placed on the floor. Then a gentle slide, like someone pushed something toward my door. A paper. My stomach clenched. The man spoke again, almost kindly. I left you something. I didn't move. Look at it, he said. I didn't. His voice cooled. Do you want me to slide it under Nadia's door instead? My hands shook. I approached slowly and crouched, keeping my face away from the peephole. I reached down and pulled the paper under the door with 2 fingers. It was a printed sheet. Clean. No wrinkles. On it was a single sentence typed in black. If you hear this, you've already answered. My throat tightened, and beneath that 3 blank lines, as if it were a form. Then I noticed something on the bottom corner. A tiny printed symbol. A circle with 3 short marks beside it, like a logo. My stomach dropped because I'd seen it before, on a notice in the lobby weeks earlier. Something about building upgrades and resident safety testing. I'd ignored it, because everyone ignores lobby notices. That's how the world works. The man's voice came through the door again, softer now. Now you remember? He said. I stared at the paper, mind racing. Was this some kind of scam using the building's own notices? A fake security team? A test that was really a selection? He knocked again, 3 taps. Knock back, he repeated. Then I leave. I didn't. His patience finally cracked, not into shouting, but into something colder. Disappointment. Okay, he said. Then we do it the slow way. I heard footsteps moving away from my door. Not running, not rushing, just walking. Toward Nadia's unit. My heart slammed. No, wait, I said instinctively. He stopped. His voice returned, now slightly farther down the hallway. See, he said softly. You always talk. My mouth went dry. Then he knocked on Nadia's door. Tap, tap, tap. Nadia didn't respond. He knocked again. Then her door's chain rattled faintly. She was there, awake, terrified, silent. I stepped closer to my door, panic rising. The man spoke to her, the way he had spoken to me the first time. Warm, official. Ma'am, it's security, he said. We need to confirm you're safe. Nadia didn't answer. He kept his tone gentle. Just say you're okay. Silence. A pause. Then Nadia whispered, barely audible through the hallway, Who are you? The man sighed softly, like she had asked the wrong question. I'm trying to help, he said. Just listen. That phrase again, just listen. My skin crawled. He wasn't asking her to open either. He was asking her to engage, because engagement was the trap. And then I heard something that made my stomach drop. From Nadia's side of the hall, a second sound. Lighter, closer to the floor, like someone crouching near her lock. The same thing I'd sensed before. 2 of them. One speaking, one working. I couldn't think. I grabbed my keys and ran to my balcony door, yanking it open. Cold air punched my lungs. I stepped outside and looked over the railing. 5th floor. No fire escape. But there was a maintenance ladder bolted to the side of the building near the trash area, only for workers. I'd seen it from the parking lot. I could maybe climb down if I could reach the adjacent balcony divider, if I was insane. Inside, in the hallway, Nadia's voice rose suddenly, panic breaking through. No, no, please. Then a sharp sound, her chain snapping open, metal clinking. A door opening wider. My stomach dropped through the floor. I didn't wait. I ran back inside and shoved my wedge under the door, finally using it, with shaking hands. Then I pressed my ear against my own door, heart screaming. Silence. Then Nadia's voice stopped. Not a scream, Not a struggle. Just silence. That silence was worse, because it meant one of two things. Either she had been pulled away from the door, or she had been made quiet. My eyes burned. I opened my phone camera again and hit record, holding it near the door like it could capture sound even if it couldn't call anyone. From the hallway, the man's voice returned, closer again, moving back toward my unit. He spoke calmly, like nothing had happened. "See?" he said softly. "This is why we prefer listeners." I backed away. My phone displayed recording, with no signal bars, no Wi-Fi. The hallway light under my door flickered. Then 3 taps came again, right at my door. Tap, tap, tap. The man spoke gently, almost soothing. "Knock back," he said, and I let her go. My body went cold. That was the moment the story turned from fear into something darker. Because now it wasn't about me surviving. It was about what I was willing to do to stop something happening next door. I stared at the door. I imagined Nadia on the other side, mouth covered, eyes wide, listening to my silence and realizing I wasn't coming. My hand shook, and then I heard it. From inside my apartment. A faint tapping sound from the wall behind me. Tap, tap, tap. My blood turned to ice. It wasn't the door. It was inside, right behind the drywall, like someone in the neighboring unit was tapping the shared wall. But Nadia's unit was across the hall, not beside mine. So who was behind my wall? A third person? Or something else, like the building itself talking? The man outside said softly, "Good." I didn't understand. He continued, "You heard that." I froze. He laughed quietly. "That's the point," he whispered. "Now you know what we mean." I backed away until my spine hit the kitchen counter. The tapping inside the wall stopped. Then my phone buzzed. One vibration. A message appeared. No sender, no number. Don't knock. Don't speak. Just listen. My stomach twisted. That wasn't from him. Or at least it didn't feel like it. It felt different. Shorter. Urgent. Like someone trying to warn me without being heard. "Nadia? No. How?" Then another message came. "If you answer him, he comes back." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. A third message. "If you stay silent, he can't finish it." Finish it. Finish what? The man outside my door knocked again, impatient now. Tap, tap, tap. "Knock back," he said. "Last chance." I didn't move. My throat burned with the urge to speak. But the warning on my phone sat like a weight. If you answer him, he comes back. He wasn't trying to get in once. He was trying to establish something, some kind of permission, some kind of connection. Like a scam that only works if you confirm your identity. Like a ritual that only works if you respond. The man waited. Then his voice dropped, colder. "Fine," he said. "Then I'll take the quiet one next time." My skin prickled. He started walking away, footsteps fading down the hall, unhurried. The hallway light under my door returned to normal. My phone's signal bars blinked back on like nothing had happened. Wi-Fi returned. The world snapped back into normal so quickly it felt like a prank. I stood there, shaking, staring at the door. Then I heard a soft knock again. One single knock. Not from the hallway. From inside my wall. Tap. A pause. Then a whisper. So faint I almost convinced myself it was my imagination. "Don't open for anyone." I swallowed hard. "Nadia?" No answer. I waited a full minute, heart pounding. Then I did the only thing that felt possible. I called the police. This time the call went through immediately. The ending. The police arrived fast, faster than I expected, like they already knew the building. 2 officers, plus building security. Real security this time. Uniforms, radios, the whole performance. They checked the hallway. They checked the stairwells. They checked the roof access. They checked cameras. They found nothing. Nadia didn't answer her door. They knocked. They called. No response. They asked the property manager for a key. The manager arrived, half-dressed, irritated, then suddenly pale when he realized which unit. He unlocked Nadia's door. The chain was still on. From the inside, the deadbolt was still locked. From the inside. Nadia's apartment was empty. Her phone was on the kitchen table, screen cracked as if it had been dropped. Her purse was on a chair. Her shoes were by the door. Nothing looked stolen. Nothing looked disturbed. Except for one thing. On the inside of her front door, near the peephole, 3 short, vertical scratches had been carved into the paint. The same 3 marks that were on my paper. The officers took statements. They asked if I'd seen anyone, if I'd heard a struggle. I told them the truth. I'd heard voices, threats, the chain snapping. They asked why I didn't open my door. The question made me feel sick, because it sounded like blame, like I was supposed to sacrifice my safety to save her. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Officer Grant, yes, his name was Grant, and no, I didn't forget it, looked at me for a long moment, with a kind of tired empathy. "You did what you could," he said quietly. But his eyes didn't fully believe it. The building manager tried to call Nadia's family. The police filed her as missing. They told me I should stay somewhere else for the night. I did. I stayed with a coworker across town, barely sleeping, jumping at every sound. The next day, the building email went out. Resident safety notice. Do not open your door to unknown persons. Report suspicious activity. It sounded like 1,000 other emails. It sounded like nothing. But when I returned to my apartment to grab clothes, I found something new on my door. A small sticker. Clear plastic. Almost invisible unless you caught it in light. It had a circle logo and 3 marks, and beneath it, tiny text. Listener confirmed. My hand shook as I ripped it off. Under it was a faint residue, like it had been there before, and replaced. Like someone had marked my door more than once. I moved out that week. I didn't break my lease politely. I didn't negotiate. I didn't argue. I left. New building, different side of town, different routine. For months, nothing happened. Nadia's case went cold fast. No forced entry. No camera footage clear enough to identify faces. No witnesses besides me, and my story sounded like paranoia to anyone who didn't understand how carefully fear can be designed. Time passed. The world returned to its usual cruelty. Work, bills, quiet nights. Until the night my phone buzzed at 2:59 a.m. No notification, just a vibration. I sat up, heart racing, staring at the screen. 2:59. I waited. 3 o'clock. And then from somewhere in my new apartment, somewhere behind the wall near my bed, 3 soft taps. Tap, tap, tap. Not on the door, not in the hallway, inside the building itself, like the structure remembered me. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown sender. Good. You're still listening. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't breathe. Then another message arrived. Don't open. We prefer it quiet. A third message. Next time. Don't say her name. My throat went cold. Because I hadn't told anyone in the new building about Nadia. I hadn't written it online. I hadn't said it out loud in months. But someone, something, had heard me whisper it that night through my own door. And in that moment I finally understood what the man at 3 a.m. had really meant. It was never about getting inside my apartment. It was about getting inside my habits, inside my voice, inside the part of me that reacts when a knock happens at the wrong hour. Because once you respond, once you become a listener, the door stops being a boundary. It becomes a signal. And signals don't care where you move. They just wait for the same time, the same 3 taps, and the same human instinct to prove you're there. I never opened the door, but I did exactly what they wanted. I listened, and now I can't stop. Because every night, when the building quiets down, I find myself holding my breath, waiting to learn whether the next knock will come from the hallway or from inside the wall again, and whether this time it will be asking me to open or asking me to answer.